Okay, already. This season, we're coaching someone through what so many of us go through.
I'm Alison.
I'm Michelle.
Meet Sophie. She stayed too long, she'll break up, she'll heal, she'll date, she'll spiral. She's you, she's us.
We'll walk with her and you through every phase, from heartbreak to wholeness.
If you're tired of the chaos and ready to thrive in singlehood and in love,
welcome to season 3. Oh,
that was
so
so
close.
Good.
Recording in
progress.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's been so long. Okay.
So today, talking about reconnecting with yourself, and I think that's a good reminder because last few episodes there was a lot of connecting with other people, and we often talk about reconnecting with yourself. Like it's kind of the underlying message in our exchanges.
Discussions,
conversations, lifestyle. But I think it's a good reminder to also talk about it. So so she's got, as you do, 3 questions for our episode. And her first question is, how do I rediscover who I am outside of that relationship? And that really ties into what you've been saying for a few episodes of you got into a relationship at one stage of your life and you're ending the relationship at another stage of your life. And so you're probably completely different.
You've lost yourself in someone.
Yeah, exactly. And just, for, in all aspects, if you've grown up, maybe you were at school, now you've got a job, or maybe, it's all sorts of things. And I think this is why it's also very important to not throw yourself in a new relationship. Like, again, I'm talking about this friend who, she's a serial relationship person and she hasn't been single for like more than a month and a half. She's like 34, I think it's in the stage of 14, like honestly.
Yeah. Wow.
And like same with my brother and things. It's just, who is this person? How can you meet someone, whether it's friendships or relationships? How can you meet someone good for you if you don't know who you are?
Exactly. Think you're more unstable when you're trying to meet people and you don't even know like how to introduce yourself or what to do, or how to react, or how to be, because you don't know anymore. You don't know what, and so like it comes out a bit wishy-washy, or maybe it comes out sometimes like this, sometimes like that. And I think it's a process that goes together, because it's a very long process to reconnect with yourself and to rediscover who you are. Not that it will take you years, but it might take you a few months. And it might take you a time to get to know yourself and to figure out what you want from this stage in your life and who you are right now. And I think actually connecting with other people can help you with this process. It shouldn't be dependable. Like you should rely on our friendships to tell you who you are. But I think it's friendships and people in your life are like mirrors and they reflect back to you. And I think that's a great indication. So it's sort of a process that goes together of trying to figure out who the people you want in your life to be. And that says also a lot about like, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you want to carve out some time to like, just as you would with a friendship, of like spending time with yourself and just, doing things that help you, A, have some fun with yourself, B, create an emotional connection of like, I care about this person, I love this person, I appreciate this person, I think highly of this person. And see a person that you know who you are, know yourself well, and you know how you react, you know how you behave, you know how you bring yourself. And so it's much easier to handle other things in your life when you know exactly who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like actually, I'm just going to look at like what are daily habits that can help rebuild confidence, and how do I build a life that I enjoy being single in? Okay, so I'm just kind of gonna cover all of these, and it's maybe a different style of answering questions. There are habits, healthy habits to create, but there are also unhealthy habits to take away.
Definitely.
And I think, although I appreciate you guys listening to our podcast and maybe even watching it, like, I think taking away screen time is essential. And like, I think these really kind of cliched and overdone pieces of advice, but actually really handy, of like journaling and, being in your own mind, of just, not even things like meditating, but if you're a person who kind of always listens to music or always listens to a podcast or always needs background, like, to kind of stop yourself from thinking. If you're going for a walk and you're listening to music, if you're things like that, try not doing that. I'm not saying that it's, I'm saying scrolling endlessly is an unhealthy habit, but I'm not saying that listening to a podcast or music all the time is an unhealthy habit. But if you're doing it to kind of stop yourself from thinking and being in your own head, then it becomes unhealthy. It's, having a drink once in a while because you enjoy having a drink is nice. But if you're drinking all the time to kind of get over something, then it's unhealthy. And it's the same here. Go for a walk, no music, have your phone on you because, if you're like me and afraid of getting lost, then, to have that. But just, be in your own mind. Don't create noise that's going to drown out your inner voice. I know I'm a big victim of doing that, of, I'm needing something because I'm so afraid of being in my own mind sometimes. And I think, that's a big thing. And well, for me at least, it's a big thing. And I think it's for a lot of people of just, going out and being in your own mind. Because if you're listening to music because you need something going on, and if you're listening to a podcast because you need something going on, you can just think.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking if you're listening to a podcast. Maybe if you're listening to music, you're not thinking if you're listening to a podcast. You're not actively kind of, because even now you're listening to our podcast, you're maybe having food for thoughts, but because we keep talking, you're not able to develop your own thoughts to the end. And, and that's what you need to do, is have some time of just, being in your own mind.
Yeah. I think that's such an important key aspect of, connecting with yourself, in the sense of, if you're afraid of your own mind, then you're going to avoid it as much as you can. And the more you avoid it, the scarier it is. And, I'm also that type of person that I need. I live in a place right now that's so quiet. Sometimes I have to look outside and make sure that, you don't see much people walking around. It's like such a tiny, small, remote place, like so quiet all the time. And I think at first it was so daunting, because I need things, I need music. It's very hard with like the silence, but you learn how to cope with it. And it doesn't mean that you always have to just be silent and just be, with no music, no audiobooks, no podcasts, whatever it is. But it does mean that you have to learn how to be able to be in your own presence, in your own thoughts, in your own mind, and not be scared of it.
Yeah.
When you're too scared of it, then it's harder to cope with it. It feels much harder than it actually is. And you're saying to yourself, my thoughts is not a good place to be. And that's not, yes, you might have some scary thoughts sometimes. Yes, it might bring you to some scary places. But I think when you cope with it and when you don't avoid it, it's much easier to handle. And so I think a great way to do that is to allow yourself to be there and learn through that process how you cope with it best. And I think going out I'm a huge advocate for daily walks, but going out and being in nature, and you have the voices of nature, but also it's like, you're relaxing yourself while also being in your own mind.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, yes, it is one of those cliche overdone things, but it's the truth. Like just being outside, um, listening to birds or whatever, looking at the stars, and at JT and I, every time we get back from my parents, like where we can see the stars, and getting back to the city, we can't see the stars. It's just something different about it. And
Yeah.
when we go to the ocean, listening to the waves and things like that, and it's just, yeah, kind of, you want to lose yourself in nothingness. You don't want to be drowning yourself in somethingness. Do you see? Like,
Yeah.
I think that needs a tagline. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty deep.
It is.
But if you're just kind of over consuming, which a lot of people do in our day and age, and something that we struggle with as well. Can, like, we want to publicize the podcast, but also you know but take a step away and everything. It's finding a balance. But yeah, you want to, just take time for nothing, absolute nothingness. And it's not like, you never do nothing. Like even when you're sleeping, you're not doing it nothing. You're
Yeah.
recharging and sorting through everything and things like that. But if all of this seems scary, if going for daily hour walks, and if you're, being in your own thought, if all of things, and I think, but yeah, it's, putting myself in Sophie's shoes, I'd find this terrifying. This is the first thing that I struggle with. I don't mind being single, but being with myself is something that, would scare me a lot. I think a good way to start is, saying, okay, just do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just do it for 10 minutes. If you're gonna, when you do your cleaning or laundry or whatever, put a timer, just do it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a lot. And if it is a lot, start with 5 and then build up.
Yeah.
And then just do it, every day, just a little bit. And if it's not fun, start with 1 minute and then do this, same things that they do for people who start running, start with 1 minute and then build up and, up to an hour. Then do the same, set up a schedule of just doing it, for the first week, do it 2 minutes a day, and then 5, and then 7, and then 10, and then do it for half an hour once a week, and then just see how that feels. And of just no podcasts, no music, start
No
with doing it,
screens.
no screens, journal. The only thing that I will allow is journaling. Because even if you read, it's still kind of,
escaping
being
into a
somewhere
different
else.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do nothing and just
Yeah.
and then build on it, and start in a safe space. If you feel safe at home, doing it at home, and then go for a walk. And then if you're going to go for example, if I want to go to the pharmacy, it's like a 5-minute walk. And just find the same for you, of something, go
Yeah.
buying bread or whatever. Just go there without your music, nothing. And then if that's easy, then level up and just having these. I think these are, yeah, it's taking, it's stepping away from the bad habits and kind of make automatically creating a healthier one.
Yeah. And it's scary. It's a very scary part of the process of learning how to just be with yourself and in your own thoughts. But it's also an inseparable part of the process. And I don't think you can, grow closer to yourself and reconnect with others if you haven't, first of all, taken time to be comfortable of just being with yourself. And I should get back into it, but I used to do like at least one morning every week of like just me, my coffee, sitting outside in the balcony or wherever it is, and just being myself, allowing myself to float through my whatever it is without you know the pressure, and it's just allowing your brain to wake up slowly with yourself and just grow comfortable with it. The more time you spend with yourself and with your thoughts, the more comfortable you are with it. And I think once you do that, you can start doing more things with yourself. I think another great way to connect with yourself is not only just being present in the moment, in your thoughts, in your presence, is also learning how to be comfortable in your own skin. And I think that requires you to get out of your comfort zone. And just like you would with any friendship, and just like you would with any, close friend, just like go out on like on dates, go do things that you enjoy, go do things that make you feel good in your company.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reflecting back to one of the times where I found myself without music in the middle of Chiang Mai in Thailand.
Oh, I love Chiang Mai. If I could live anywhere in the world, that would be it.
I'd live in Pai or Koh
Oh,
Phangan.
Pai is nice. It's a bit ruined. It's a bit overly touristy now, but
Has it become? Yeah. So this was for me. This was 4 years ago. Anyway, and so I just started walking and just kind of, I had no phone, nothing, and I thank God I had my Lonely Planet book, so they had a map in it, and I just started looking at the map, and then kind of all these thoughts came up, and I just had a bit of a revelation of just being like, and I didn't even know that I was needing it at that time. You know, I wasn't in this phase of just like I need to rediscover myself. I was just kind of walking around, but all these thoughts came up, and I had a conversation with myself, basically, of thinking through things. I was just like, wow, this is actually very cool. And and then after that I did it a lot. And I had a bit of a revelation, just like, I'm a cool person to be with. And I think
exactly.
until you get to that kind of revelation, people are listening using, finger speech marks. Until you get to that revelation, then you can't really come to anything healthy. And to be honest, I got to that revelation, and then my healthy kind of relationships and everything happened like a year and a half later. So it takes time, because it's a, step forward, step backwards, sideways, and everything. But you want to, get to that place where just like, we're not saying be in your own mind all the time. We're just saying so that it's nice, because it's also nice listening to music and listening to podcasts and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's just,
but it's,
balance.
Doing it because you want to, not doing it because you're running away from something.
Yeah, you're escaping your mind, you're escaping, spending time alone, or whatever it is. I think that's a great habit to have. Speaking of habits, of like, first of all, making a habit of being present in your mind, but also making a habit of having conversations with yourself, making a habit of speaking to yourself in a certain way, and making a habit of doing productive things with yourself and doing positive things with yourself. And that creates a whole sense of positivity and well-being in your own presence and in your own company and in your self relationship, where it creates a positive feedback loop, or like it just creates a good environment, instead of just being this thing of, oh, I have this time and it's just apartment. I know so many people this, to them spend time alone or coming home to an empty house or doing things by themselves is like the worst thing that could ever happen to them. And at the end of the day, this is going to sound very harsh, but no one wants to be friends with someone who's just being friends with them just because they can't be alone, or because they feel so sorry for themselves and they just want to escape their alone time. You want someone who brings their positive self relationship into a positive mutual relationship. And so
it's kind of like, just to address the last part of her last question, is like not just waiting for someone else. Like with everything that you just said, if you're coming home to your house and it's the worst thing that it can happen to you, then that's, that can always be true. But it's the way that you're perceiving it. It's just like, I'm not enjoying coming home to my house in an empty house. But it's just okay. For example, whenever JT's not here and we're not, he's not in the bed with me, I hate it actually, but it's okay. Like, I'm not going to be calling him and being like so desperate for it, and I don't like it, but I'm making it okay. Come home to your house. Sure, you're allowed to not like it. We're never going to ask you to enjoy it, but make it okay. Don't make it daunting. You don't like it, fine, but then it's okay. We're not asking you to eat food that you absolutely hate. We're asking you to just kind of essentially get over it.
But also, I mean, sorry if I'm cutting you off, but like I just wanted to say that you don't know how long you're going to be single, how long you're going to be living alone. So what are you going to do? Just suffer through it for a long time? Ask yourself why you feel that way and how you can make it better.
Exactly. And to the point of like, and not just waiting for someone else, you know, you and I, we both met our men in stages where we were happy being single, open to relationships, but not actively looking for it. And it's not that thing of just, oh, we met them when we least expected it. No, that's not true. What's true is that we were meeting people and it was okay if it wasn't working out, and we were okay with it not working out. It wasn't, you know, that, and it was genuine. It was this genuine thing because, you know, coming home to an empty house or doing these things on our own or being in our own minds or things like that was working fine. And so we were, you know, it was the truth that it was either we were going to meet somebody right or, you know, stay single. That was the absolute truth. And not just waiting for somebody to come along and just kind of like, it happens when you least expect it. That's not true, because if you're not expecting it, if you're not open to it, it's not going to happen. It needs to happen. It needs to be alive somewhere in your consciousness. But everything else that needs to be at the forefront is that, you know, I need to be okay with all of these things, even though, you know, kind of like, you know, with actual grief of you know, at some point, even though it still hurts, you're going to be okay with it. And, you know, same injury and things like that, you know, people who have these really big injuries and live with the pain, there's the pain and they make it work. Well, this is the same. You know, if your pain is being on your own, then I get it. It's still just, you still need to kind of find a way to make it work, because you're not going to replace anything.
Yeah.
That was a bit dark.
Yeah, but I think it's something that you need to deal with. Like if there's a huge prominent issue in your life and you're just avoiding it, or you're just waiting for someone else to mask it, then that's going to make it worse, and that's not a good vantage point to start a healthy relationship. I think when you learn how to enjoy being by yourself, you attract so much better into your life. I think it you know, we each have like this vibration that it exudes. How would you say it? Like we just have this vibration that people can feel, emanates, and you know, when you feel so comfortable, when you feel so good with yourself, that attracts people and that attracts good vibes. And I think it's very important, not only for yourself and to be able to be around yourself and love yourself and think highly of yourself, but also to attract those people that you want in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of finding ways to fill your life up. If you feel like it's empty, if you feel like it's sad, if you feel like it's hard, then go out and explore, do some trial and error, go find what it is. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to happen in a day, but if you want change, you have to make change happen, you know?
And to go with your Hebrew expression of the problem is in the question.
Yeah.
You know, if what do I do if I'm feeling sad and just waiting? Then no, stop waiting and fill your life with joy.
Yeah, because your singlehood shouldn't be a waiting room. And when it is, then you end up entering all the wrong relationships. So yes, thank you again, Sophie, for all these great questions. Yes. And let us know as well.
Yeah.
How you reconnect with yourself.
Yeah. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this episode of Pop Culture Cupid.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We're glad you're here.
Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit for more behind-the-scenes real talk.
And if you want to support the show, check us out on Patreon.
Until next time, be kind, be happy, be healthy, and remember, heartbreak isn't the end.
It's the plot twist.